Hello everybody, my name is Marlo and today I'm going to be showing you how to build this observatory in Minecraft. Now some of you who are regular viewers of my channel may find this build to look a little bit familiar, and that's because I built a very similar design in my survival series. It's the exact same shape and size, the only thing that differs is the block choices. Now I build with some peculiar blocks in this world. I love it, but I know it's not for everybody, so all I've done is switch out a couple of the odd blocks that I've been using, such as birch, sandstone and warped wood, for some more common blocks that might be to some more people's liking. Of course, if you want to keep to the original block palette and build that design, you can compare the two observatories here and pick which blocks you want to keep the same. So for example, in the tutorial here, when we're going to be placing down some barrels for that rim around the outside, you want to be using nether wart blocks. Hopefully you get the idea. If you are building this in survival, you're going to want to check out the description down below for a full list of all of the materials we're going to be using today. Once you found a good spot for building the observatory, most likely high up on a mountain somewhere, you want to build this shape out of brick blocks. Those longest sides are 4 blocks long, then it's 2 blocks long, and then it's just a single block, all the way round in a circle. And once you have that done, you can then add an additional 7 layers, so when it's all done, you should have a 8 block high cylinder. With this shape in position, we can now come to one of the longer 4 block long sides, and we're going to place 2 4 blocks at the top with 2 upside down stairs either side, and then 2 more upside down stairs just like this. You can then go ahead and do that for all of the longer sides. As for each of the corners, we're going to start by placing 2 upside down stairs just like that next to these stairs, and then we're going to place a slab on the front of those blocks, and then in this 1 block long section we're just going to place down 2 upside down stairs like that. And as you may have guessed, go ahead and do that for the other 3 sections. Now is where you need to decide on where the front of the observatory is going to go, the main entrance. Mine is going to go over here, so we want to come to one of these longer sides here and punch out these 6 blocks. On the top we want to have 2 upside down stairs facing into each other, and then we just want to place 2 doors down. You're going to get them like this. Just go ahead and break the one that opens in the middle and place it again, and it should open a little bit nicer. And then real quickly we can just place down 2 spruce trapdoors so it looks a little bit more seamless from the outside. Now is when we can grab some granite and polish granite, and you just want to mix a little bit of this into all of the brick blocks. Of course, not forgetting the slabs and the stairs on the top part. Just mix a good amount in, not too much but not too little, just find a good balance. Now we're going to grab some spruce trapdoors and cover some of these lovely textured blocks up. So I've marked them all at the bottom, as you can see with those spruce trapdoors. Basically it's every side here on the 4 block long section, the 2 blocks on either side, as well as these corner blocks, shall we call them, the 1 wide section. So on all of those there should be 12 in total, and what we're going to do, starting at the bottom, we're going to place our trapdoors just like that, going into the block. And on top of them, of course crouching whilst we do this, we just want to place all of those on top and fold them flat against the wall. And then we can do the same over here, and eventually once we get all of these placed and folded, our finished result should look like this. And of course you want to do that for all of the other sections. So in the end you should have something that looks like this. I know that is quite a lot of trapdoors. Hopefully it wasn't too bad gathering all of those together. But now what we can do is move up to this next section here, and we're just going to grab some temporary blocks and kind of make an outline of the whole of this section. Just like that, so placing all of those dirt or whatever temporary block you're using on the outside. And now we can grab our acacia trapdoors, and on the front of those temporary blocks we're going to do something like that. So we're going to have 4 there, then 2, then 1, and if we just do that on all of the sides we should have something like this. And now what we can go ahead and do is just get rid of all of these temporary blocks because we don't need them anymore. And then after we've got those done, we can go ahead and just flip up all of the trapdoors. Now these are meant to be kind of like a railing, and there's quite a few gaps in the railing at the moment. So all we really need to do, we'll start on these 4 gaps right now. We're just going to step inside and we're going to place them on the blocks at the top here. So we have those covered up. And then we'll do the same on the other longer sides. So just like that, we'll come back to the corner blocks in a minute. Not that it's really that confusing, but I think it's just a little bit easier this way. So there we go. There's all of the sides done. We just have these corner blocks that we need to fill in. And literally it's as simple as this and this. That. There we go. Nicely covered up, and you just want to do that for all of the 4 corners. And once we have that done, we have our lovely acacia trapdoor railing complete. Next up, we're just going to step inside here, and on all 4 of the sides on these top blocks here, we just want to have a mixture of brick, granite, and polished granite. So just something like that, so that from the bottom we kind of get this shape right here. So on all 4 of the sides we can do that. Again, just mixing a little bit of texture. It doesn't really matter how you do this bit exactly. Mostly because a lot of these blocks are getting covered up, so it's not really a big deal. You could probably just use brick blocks only. We also want to place some blocks on the corners here. Very simply, we just want to have 2 here and 2 there. Of course, mix in the granite if you would like to. So on all of the corners. So in the end, from underneath, we should have something that looks like this. Next up, we're going to grab some stripped dark oak logs, and what we're going to do on these blocks right here, so on the 4 wide sections, we're just going to place 2 on the outside blocks on all 4 sides. So it should look like that at the moment. And then what we're going to do on the corners here, we're just going to place 2 next to each other like that. And with all of those placed down, we can place an additional 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 blocks on top of them, so they all should be 6 blocks high. Now we're going to come round to the front of the building again, just above where we have these double doors on this top section. On the back of these blocks, we're going to have some double acacia doors, just like that. And on top of them, we're going to have a mixture of polished diorite and regular diorite. We're also going to be using some calcite for this level, but we don't have stairs for those blocks, so going to have to use the diorite ones there. But for these next 6 blocks, we can mix in some of the calcite too, as well as some of the regular diorite and the polished kind. Now for the other sides here, so this one, that one over there, and this one just behind the door, what we're going to do is have 2 full blocks at the bottom, then 2 of our diorite or polished diorite stairs, 2 white stained glass panes, 2 more stairs, and then some full blocks on top, just like that. And we can do that for the other 2 sides as well. And once you have all of that done, you can now come to the corner sections here, and we're going to start by placing next to these blocks here on top of this granite or brick block. We're just going to mix in some calcite and diorite and polished diorite and just pillar up like that. And we can do the same over here, just mixing a little bit of this in, just like that. And then what we can do is go ahead and add in 2 more full blocks at the bottom here on these spots with some stairs on top of it. Of course, that's going to have to be diorite stairs because, as I explained earlier, unfortunately we have no calcite ones. And you can go ahead and do that for the other 3 remaining sections too. Now we can go ahead and grab some spruce trapdoors and spruce slabs, and we want to grab our slabs to begin with here, and where these 2 dark oak log pillars are, on the corners, not on the top block, on the top part of this second block down, we're going to place one like that. So you should be able to still place a full block on top of it. We can go ahead and do that for the other 4 corners, just like this. And on that same level, so in line with these slabs, on this side here where we have our windows and doorway, we just want to add 2 of them like that. So at this point you should have something that looks like this. We got some slabs with some gaps in between, and in between those gaps on the same level this is, we just want to add in some spruce trapdoors. So just go around and place all of these next to the wall where we don't have a slab block. And in the end, once we've got all the way around as we have there, you should have a nice ring around the building just like that. And on top of these blocks we're going to place in some barrels. So on top of the trapdoors, when you're placing those down, you do want to make sure you're crouching, otherwise you just going to open it up like that. Also, make sure your barrels are all facing upwards and you don't place any like this, otherwise it's going to look a little bit weird once we put the top cover on. But we're going to go all the way around with our barrels until we come back to the other side. So we should have something like this. And all we need to do now, where we have a spruce slab underneath, we're going to have one on top too, and where we have a trapdoor, we're going to have one on top. You get the idea. Just do this all the way around. You should be left with something like this, a nice little rim around the building, which allows us to get started on the roof. So the first thing we're going to do is come to the front of the build here, where we have our double set of double doors, and we're going to come up to these blocks right here, and we're just going to have a full block either side of those, so on top of the dark oak stripped log. Then we're going to have 2 stairs on top of those, then 2 upside down stairs, then 2 full blocks on top of those stairs, 2 more stairs facing outwards, some more upside down stairs, more full blocks, and some stairs here, with some more upside down stairs coming off the back of them. So for right now, you should have something that looks like this on both of the sides. We're then going to have some slabs on top of those. Then, next to the slabs, we're going to have some stairs facing outwards, just like that, with 2 more slabs in the middle. So this should be the final shape. So the roof is going to be made out of copper blocks. Whether you want to use a different type of copper variant, that is up to you, and also whether you want to leave it waxed or unwaxed. Totally up to you too. Personally, I'm just going to be going with the classic waxed copper. But what we're going to do is start next to this block right here, and we're just going to have a line of 4 blocks going all the way around. So placing them on top of those diorite, calcite, and stripped dark oak logs. Just doing that until we get back to the other side here. Now we're going to come to the wider sections here, and we're going to have 2 stairs either side, 2 full blocks, and then 2 stairs. Obviously, we're not going to be doing this for the front because we have our spruce wood placed down over there, which, by the way, is what the telescope is going to be sticking out of eventually. But we can do that for the other 3 sides anyway, so we should have something like this. As for the 4 corners, what we're going to do is have 2 full blocks and 2 stairs, super simply like that. And we can also go ahead and place a full block on the back, so it looks like this from the front. And super quickly, just do that for the other corners too. So at this point, our roof should look like this all the way around. Now we're going to come to one of these wider sections again with the stairs sticking upwards, and on top of these 2 full blocks here and over here, we're going to have a slab with a full block next to it and a stair on top of that one. And then we're basically going to repeat the same down here, so 2 more full blocks and 2 more stairs. Super quickly, we can go around to the other 2 sides and do the same, leaving us with this for the moment. As for these corners here, all we need to do to fill those in is place another full block on top of this one, then come round to the back and place in 2 more here, and then we're going to have another one on top of that block. Then we're going to stick 2 slabs on top of those full blocks, and then on the back of those slabs, we're going to have 1, 2, and 3 full blocks. So if I just stand still and let you have a look at this, this is what the corner of the roof should look like. Of course, you can go ahead and do that for the other sides too. I will show you how to do this one at the front though, because it is a little bit different. This is kind of in the way. So we're going to start off by placing a slab next to the spruce wood over here. Then we're going to have another full block on top of that one. Then we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4. It is very, very similar, to be honest. It doesn't really get in the way that much, but it's slightly different, so I'll show you anyway. We're going to have 2 slabs on top of those full blocks, and then the real only difference here is we're just going to have 2 full blocks instead of a third one, which would have gone there, but we have our spruce wood in the way, so that's what it looks like for this section. Basically, go ahead and repeat this over on the other side. Just going to do a nice slow fly around so you can take a look at the roof and make sure you've got everything exactly as I have here at the moment. Feel free to pause the video if you would like to, of course, but hopefully you're now up to speed and we can move on to the top section here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to place down some slabs on top of those blocks just like that. 3 more here, 3 more here, and 2 more here. And then in between these sections, so next to these stairs, we're going to have 2 stairs in between those slabs, just like that. Then we can go ahead and grab some full blocks, and we're going to have a full block here, 2 full blocks here, 2 more here, and 1 here. So now we should have this. And what we can do now is actually just grab some temporary blocks whilst we do this, because we're going to need to place 1 there and then 2 slabs in front of those stairs, and we're going to do that on all of the sides just like this. So we should have this for the moment, and then on these 2 corners we're just going to have a temporary block with a slab on top on both of those, just like that. Then we can grab some more slabs, and we're going to have 2 coming off at the back of that stair on both sides. And then we're just going to fill in this middle section like so. And there we go. That's the main part of the roof all done. We just need to add a little bit of a topper on top. So we're going to start off by placing an upside down stair facing this way. Then we're going to turn around 90 degrees and place another one. Do another turn 90 degrees and do it once more. So in the end, they should all curve round and kind of connect like this, like a little podium at the top almost. And on top of these, we're going to place in some lightning rods. Now, if you play in your world with fire tick on, so if lightning strikes wood, it burns, don't do this, because lightning is going to get attracted to here, and it's probably going to hit this spruce at some point in time and burn down that section and maybe more. So if you play with fire tick on, don't do this. If you play with it off, feel free to, because fire doesn't hurt you. I personally play with it off. I think it's a lot better that way. And with that, we are done with the exterior of the build, with the exception of the telescope, but we're going to do that when we get inside up to the top level. But for now, it is time to head on inside and start work on the bottom level interior, which is actually going to be turned into a map room. We're going to have a big old map on the floor here that you can map out your world and lay it down and update it from time to time. That's what I did in my single player series, so that's what I'm doing in the tutorial now. If you don't like the idea of that, feel free to do something different. Up here on the second level, we're going to be making a small living area of sorts, and then on the top level is where the telescope is going to go, so we're going to have some more fun observatory parts up here. But of course, if you want to change any of that up, feel free to do something different once it comes to furnishing. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and get rid of the floor. Just like that, and we can also get rid of these 3 as well. The doors are going to pop off, just keep them, replace them with 2 spruce planks underneath, and pop the doors back on top. We can also place 2 more spruce planks here, and then we're going to go and get our barrels, and on the other 3 sides, we're going to place them in upside down. So you just want to kind of come up to this corner here and go to the top corner of that block and place it down, so you should get this texture, and then we kind of just want to move on and do the same thing all the way across. So we should have a line of upside down barrels with some blocks underneath, which you can actually go ahead and fill back in, and we want to do that 2 more times as well. So you should have this for all 3 of those sides and this by the front door. Now we can go ahead and get some spruce stairs, and all we need to do with these is ring them around the outside. So it's just going straight across the straight bits and just curving around the corners like that. So when you get to here, place it like that, then against the wall, and then go back in a straight line, and just do this until you get all the way around and connect back up over here. Next up, we can go ahead and remove the remaining grass blocks on the floor and replace them with some lighting blocks. In this case, I'm using jack-o'-lanterns. They're probably the cheapest to get a hold of, unless you have lots of glowstone, sea lanterns, or frog lights. Any of those will be perfectly fine. Just a light source that is in block form, so just not a torch, really. The whole reason as to why we have these lighting blocks on the floor, by the way, is so that when we have our maps in place, it's nice and bright to look at and just makes everything a whole lot clearer. By the way, speaking of maps, if you're not sure how you would fill out an area like this with your own custom maps, I'm going to try to remember to leave a tutorial link in the cards that you can check out after watching this video. That should quickly show you how you can achieve something like this. If I forget, just have a look around on YouTube. There are tons of good tutorials for creating maps in Minecraft. Next up, go ahead and grab some paintings, and we're going to place 3 of them above these barrels here, and we're going for the 4x4 variant. So we want to place the painting on this block right here, so not the one in the bottom left corner, the one diagonally upwards, and we place this down and we get a big old painting like this. Now yours will look a little bit different to mine because I have custom paintings. Yours will most likely be the vanilla Minecraft ones, but they are all the same size and there should be 3 in total. So as you can see, kind of fits nicely in that slot there. Next up, we can grab some flower pots, and we're just going to stick 2 of those on the outer barrels on all of the sides. Of course, go ahead and place some flowers or saplings or whatever you would like inside of them. But now we can turn around to the door here and place in some spruce trapdoors. Now, this isn't going to work unless you're on Java edition. So I'll show you what we're going to do for those of you on Java. We're going to face into the building here, and we're going to place down 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 spruce trapdoors, and we're going to shut all of them just like that. And on the front, we're going to place in some ladders, and we can do the same over on this side too. Now, this unfortunately is only a feature on Java edition. So if you're on Bedrock or something else and this doesn't work, just go ahead and switch these out for full blocks. Maybe spruce planks or strip spruce logs would be totally fine. Now we're going to go ahead and place in our ceiling blocks, which are actually going to be looms. Now you may be wondering, why are we using looms for a ceiling block? And well, it's because they have a really nice under texture. As you can see, it can be a little bit expensive if you don't have a good supply of string. So if that is not the case, feel free to switch this out for something else. That's totally fine, but I really like the look of these and I think it's definitely worth the cost. So we're going to face the doorway now, and we're going to place those first 4 in. Then we're going to place 2 here, skip the ladder block, making sure you're crouching by the way when you place all of these down, otherwise you'll just open them up, and we're going to skip that ladder block again. We can go ahead and place our ladders on top of the looms too. So that way we're going to have access to the above level, but now all we really want to do is just continue placing looms all the way over to the opposite side to complete the ceiling. With the ceiling now in place, we are finished with this bottom level. We can head on up and start work on the next level. But before we do, we need to place down a couple of torches. Just like 3 or 4 would be totally fine up here. We're going to be leaving this middle layer open and spiders might be able to spawn. So just place in 4 torches and that will stop them entirely. You could even just place 1 and you'd probably be okay with the new lighting mechanics. But now what we're going to do is grab some cyan terracotta, and we're going to place 1 here above the ladder as well as over this side and get rid of these brick blocks and do the same. Then we're going to add 2 ladder blocks on top of those. We also need to get rid of this brick block right here and this one over here, and then we kind of just want to enclose the ladder with some of that cyan terracotta, so it's pretty seamless when you're actually coming up this thing. To make it a little bit easier too, we're also going to place an additional ladder next to the doorway. And then super simply, we're just going to go ahead and fill this whole floor in with some cyan terracotta. Of course, if you don't have access to terracotta in your world, like with all of my tutorials, you're more than welcome to use a different block that is more easily accessible. I just quite like how this one looks. The first thing we're going to do up here is actually build the ceiling and the staircase leading to the top level. So we're going to face the doorway here and turn around 180 degrees, and over on this block right here we're going to place in a spruce stair. On the back of it we're going to have an upside down stair, then another stair here. Then we can have an upside down one over this side, and we basically just want to go regular stair and then upside down one all the way until we get to this point here. So that is our staircase. Now we can build the ceiling. So we're going to face the doorway over here again, and then 2 blocks up on the top part of the block, we're going to have 2 slabs coming all the way over to the other side, but we're going to stop when we hit the staircase. We're then going to come back to this side again, skip this block, and we're going to have these slabs coming all the way over to the wall. Same again on the other side, and basically just repeat that again. So skip a block, place in some slabs, and in all of the gaps, super simply, we're going to be placing in some spruce trapdoors. So just go along like this on both of the sides. So 1, 2, and then the third one over here. Alternatively, you can actually place them. Oh, make sure you don't place one here like I've just done, otherwise you won't be able to get up the staircase. You can place them facing into each other if you just crouch as you do it. It's just kind of fiddly, so I think it's a little bit easier to place them sideways. So as I mentioned earlier, this floor is going to be just a general living space, so of course a living space should probably have a bed. So we're going to be building that over here just to the right of the doorway. So we're going to start off by placing in 2 barrels backwards like this. So we're going to place a temp block here and then a barrel just like that. So kind of get as close to the side of the block as you can. So if you just place one here, press up against it, get rid of it, place one there, and kind of click on the corner, that should place it backwards. So once again, we're making use of the underside texture. On top of this, we can go ahead and place a flower pot with something inside of it and a lantern for a little bit of light. Either side of these barrels, we're going to have 2 stripped spruce logs with a spruce slab on top of it. Same again over on this side. Then in front of the logs, we can have 2 stairs, 2 trapdoors, and then 2 of whatever color bed you would like in the middle. We do end up having a bit of an open space in the middle of this room, so in the place of that, we're going to build a rug out of cyan carpet and grey carpet. So starting 1 block away from the trapdoor, we're going to go cyan, grey, and then basically just alternate that. So that is 3 blocks long, just like that. Then we can grab some more looms, the ones you might have access from downstairs, and we're going to come to the right hand side of this bed, tuck ourselves in this corner and face outwards and just place down 2 of them. Of course, crouch whilst you do that, and then we're going to have an oak trapdoor on top. Now yours aren't going to have these 4 pixels right here, they're just meant to be like drawer handles because that's what I kind of think looms look like, set of drawers, so it kind of just looks like for some set of drawers you got in the corner of the room maybe, I don't know. Over in this corner, we're going to have a jukebox because why not? And over in this corner, we're going to have a crafting table because that one is actually kind of helpful sometimes. Over on the other side, opposite the bed, in this spot here, we're going to just make a very simple table and chair design. So 2 stairs either side of a fence with a pressure plate. Super simple. We're also going to make a little bit of storage because that could be quite helpful. So we're going to place in 2 oak trapdoors as a little bit of a shelf with a double chest on top. Then we're going to add 1 more here, so on the top of this second block with a barrel on top of this one, and then 1 more over here in this corner, so on the top of that bottom block with another barrel with a lantern on top of this one. So that is this floor all done. Before we head upstairs and start work here, we're quickly just going to head outside onto the balcony area and add a couple of lanterns because there are a couple of dark spots here. So basically all we're doing is where these 2 logs meet, so kind of on like the corners of this build, on the highest block we can place one, so you can't place one up here because that slab's in the way. So on the 4th block up, we're going to have a spruce fence with a lantern hanging down from below, and we can do that on all 4 of those spots, which should nicely light up this whole balcony area so you don't have to worry about something spawning and potentially blowing up your observatory. So now coming up to the top level, the first thing we're going to build is the floor, which is going to be a mix of deep slate tiles and cracked deep slate tiles. So I'd recommend just going around and placing a few of the cracked ones first. Not too many, but just sprinkle a little bit in. Something like that is probably even maybe too much, but I'm going to leave it as that, and then simply just fill the rest in with the regular deep slate tiles. Something to keep in mind when you're doing this is make sure you don't go over the staircase and block your way up here. You don't want to be hitting your head every single time. So with that now done, what we can do quickly, I forgot to add this earlier on, but on top of these 2 blocks, just going to have in some spruce slabs. Then we can go ahead and grab some chains and lanterns, and on these 2 blocks right here, so if you kind of take a step back and look up, you can see those middle blocks, we're going to add a chain and a lantern as I just did there. And then we can also do the same over here on these blocks as well to nicely light up the whole of this top room. Now we're going to work on smoothing out this ceiling a little bit because it's awfully blocky at the moment. Now, if you're quite low on copper supplies, maybe just skip this step. It's not really needed. I just think it makes things look a little bit nicer. But if you have extra copper laying around, go ahead and grab some because we're going to be placing some down now. So first of all, we're going to grab some stripped dark oak logs, not copper blocks, and we're going to be placing 1 here, 1 here, one here and one here, just on the lowest copper blocks that we have in the corners. And on top of those, we're going to have some more full copper blocks. Then what we're going to do is, starting on the wider sections here where we have this 1, 2, 1 archway, is we're basically just going to smooth that out. So that's having a stair here, a stair here, a stair here, and a stair here, kind of arching to make it a little bit smoother and not quite as harsh on the eyes. We can do that for all three sides. And then, as you can see, we got the same thing just up a level. So all we want to do is the exact same thing. So on all three of the sides, obviously not this one because we have that hole for the telescope, but we just want to go ahead and smoothen everything out. As you may have guessed, we got one more. So we're going to do the exact same thing again with those 4 stairs, just making this really tall overhanging archway, which in the end, once we got all of those placed down, you should have something that looks like this. I think you'd agree, it's a lot smoother than it was before. On this top section here, all we're going to do is go ahead and break these 6 slabs, and we're going to replace them with some stairs. But first of all, we're just going to place in 4 temporary blocks, or 3 temporary blocks, sorry. So just go ahead and place 3 of them in like that. And next to those temporary blocks, we're going to place in some stairs facing into the center. And then you can replace the temporary blocks that we used to place down the other stairs with some more stairs. And we can also go ahead and add 2 more slabs underneath those 2 blocks. Lastly, all we need to do to smoothen everything out here is grab a couple more stairs, and just beside the lantern here, we're just going to place 2 down like that for all 4 of the corners. And once we're all done here, that is the ceiling done, which looks a whole lot better than it did before. Now we can go ahead and start placing in some details. So the first thing we're going to do, in front of this hole we have for the telescope, we're going to place in 2 upside down stairs, oak ones that is, here and here, with 2 slabs in the middle, just to make a bit of a table. In the middle, we're going to have 2 daylight detectors set to night mode or day mode. It doesn't matter. They're purely aesthetic. They're not going to do anything. It's just that they look like they're actually functional somehow. But either side of that, we're going to have some comparators flicked on. So it kind of looks like a little bit of a control system, sort of. Over on the left side of this, we're going to have 6 bookshelves, so 3 along the bottom, 2 along the top, just for some reading material really, maybe research notes, that sort of thing. We can have 2 stairs here either side and 2 oak trapdoors on top, just to kind of smoothen everything out here. Then on the other side over here, we're going to have 2 oak trapdoors here and here, so on the top of those blocks, with 2 item frames on top of them. We'll come back to these in a second, but either side of that, we're going to have some lecterns with a book and quill inside of them. Maybe these can be the research notes that are currently being worked on. So inside of these item frames, we are going to be placing in some maps, but not any ordinary maps. We're actually going to be going to the end first of all and making some maps there. Now, some of you may find this to be extremely overkill for a small detail inside of a single build, but I think it is really cool. I did it in my survival world, so if you have access to the end and you have an elytra, you can easily get around, make some maps. It's definitely worth it. So we're going to come out to the end islands here, and we're just going to make a map like that, which, as you can see, already looks kind of spacey to me. But we do want to expand this a little bit more. So we're going to slap down our cartography table, and we're going to go 1, get this map, as well as 2. So we get the scaling of, so it says scaling 1 to 4, sorry, so level 2 out of 4, as you can see with the tags and stuff at the bottom there. So we get it this far out. Obviously, you go around, fly around and finish this map entirely, and when you're all done, you get something that looks like this, which to me just kind of looks like a cool space picture, and it's probably the best thing you can do with the resources that you have in this game. So go ahead and get 2 of these maps next to each other, and we can head back home to the observatory and place them down. So this is how they look when they're placed in the item frames, which is just really cool. It's such a fun little detail for the build here, and certainly worth it, I'd say. If you want to take this to the next level, you can actually make some map art of your own, but I'm not going to show you how to do that. It's very advanced and very, very time consuming. Now it is time to build the telescope. So the first thing we need to do is grab some temporary blocks, and we're just going to place 2 down right here. So in line with this gap, 2 blocks away from this little control panel. and we're going to place in 2 dark oak trapdoors on the front of them, get rid of the temporary blocks, and we're going to place 4 tinted glass on top of those trapdoors. Then very simply we can just go ahead and cover all of those blocks with these dark oak trapdoors. Yes, mine look a little bit different, just another simple texture change. Yours, the vanilla version, are totally fine too. Now on the back of these tinted glass, we're going to have 4 nether brick blocks like that. And now we're going to make a bit of a circle with some nether brick stairs. So what we're going to do is on these 2 top blocks, we're going to have 2 nether brick stairs facing outwards. This is going to get quite finicky, by the way, just a fair warning. It's pretty simple though, just kind of hard to place down. So we're going to place in 2 stairs upside down away from each other like that, and 2 regular stairs on top, just like that. And then pretty much we want to repeat that 4 more times. So I'll just show you once again. So on the top of these blocks, we're going to place in 2 of the stairs upside down, and then 2 more on top. So it's basically this repeated. So there's 1 of these circles, 2, we just need 3 more. So in the end, we should have something that looks like this. Doing my best to make a small scale telescope. It's not easy, believe you me. When you're working with pretty much round blocks, or square blocks, sorry, so making something cylindrical, not the easiest task in the world. But we have this is our main telescope shooting outwards. We just want to make the final bit at the end here. So what we're going to do is just place in a temporary block like that. Some scaffolding may be helpful here if you're in survival. And then we're just going to place in an upside down one like that. We're going to have another one the other side facing into it. And then we're going to place in 2 more temporary blocks here and do the same thing underneath to give us this shape at the end, which is kind of like the lens you're seeing out of. Again, it's really hard building on a small scale like this. But now what we can do is head back on inside, and we're just going to place some stands for this to sit on top of, because right now it's kind of just levitating. So we're going to have 2 nether brick walls right here with 2 fences on top of it. Then we're going to have a wall here with a fence to the side, and the same thing over here. And there we go. There is our, albeit kind of funky looking telescope, but still a telescope nonetheless. So there we go, everybody. That is the observatory tutorial all done. I really hope you enjoyed watching. Thank you ever so much for doing that. And of course, happy stargazing. I will see you next time. Bye for now.